You are in the aisle with the salad dressings. There is a whole wall of them. Ranch, Italian, vinaigrette, sesame, ginger, bright labels, happy pictures of vegetables. You reach for one, the good kind, the one that says natural on the front, and you turn it over and you see the price. $4, $5 for one bottle, and then you read the small letters on the back. Soybean oil, high fructose corn syrup, xanthan gum, potassium sorbate, calcium disodium edita, natural flavors, words that were never meant for a human mouth. Plainly, you are paying $5 for cheap oil, sugar water, and a chemistry set. And you are buying it again next month, and the month after that, forever. Now let me show you my kitchen. In my kitchen there is no bottle of dressing. There never has been. On my shelf there is a small jar, and in that jar is a dressing that costs, plainly, about 40 cents to make. It takes 2 minutes. It has 4 ingredients, and I can name every one of them, and so can you. And it tastes better, not a little better. Better in a way that will make you angry at every bottle you ever bought. Because the trick is not a recipe. The trick is one Japanese ingredient that does the work of all those chemicals, honestly, and costs almost nothing. My name is Kenji Takara. I am 81 years old, and I live in Okinawa, in the warm south of Japan. I have lived a long life, and in all of it, I have never once bought a bottle of salad dressing. Not once. Beside me, as always, is my wife, Yuki. She is 78. Her hands are the hands that mix ours, in a small bowl with a pair of chopsticks, the way her mother, Chio, did in a kitchen with almost nothing in it. Chio learned it from her mother before her. Plainly, in our house, dressing has always been something you make in the moment, fresh from what is already in the kitchen, never something you buy in glass and keep for a year. Today, I hand that to you. In the next 25 minutes, I will teach you this fully. I will explain the real science, why oil and vinegar refuse to stay together, why the store must add gums and chemicals to force them, and what the Japanese kitchen uses instead. I will give you the exact ingredient, the exact ratios, and the one trick that makes it hold. I will walk you through it step by step with the signs to watch for. I will tell you honestly what can go wrong and how long it keeps, and I will show you the real money, how much that wall of bottles takes from you in a year. Because let me say it plainly, that wall of dressing is one of the great quiet robberies of the modern kitchen. Think of what is in the bottle. Cheap oil worth pennies, vinegar worth pennies, water, some sugar, and then, because oil and water will not stay mixed, and because that bottle must sit on a shelf for a year and still look pretty, a list of gums, stabilizers, and preservatives. You are not paying $5 for flavor. You are paying $5 for shelf life. For the bottle's convenience, not yours. A family that buys 2 bottles a month spends, plainly, over $100 a year on oil and vinegar, dressed up in glass, food that costs perhaps $10 a year to make at home, fresh, with no chemicals at all. In Japan, we have a word for the shame of that waste, mottai-nai, the feeling that everything has value, and to pay $5 for what 2 minutes and 40 cents would give you, better, is a waste that should trouble the heart. Today, we set it right. Before we go on, one small thing, and then I will not mention it again. Yuki and I have gathered these old kitchen methods, the dressings, the sauces, the small daily things that free you from the bottle, into a book at kenjitakara.com for anyone who wishes to keep them in one place. That is all I will say of it. It waits there if you want it. Now, let us begin. So let me give you the first principle, the one idea everything rests upon, and then I will show you the whole method, step by step. Here is the problem every salad dressing must solve. Oil and vinegar hate each other. Shake them together, and they mix for a moment, and then they separate, and you have a layer of oil floating on a layer of vinegar. The factory solves this with gums and emulsifiers from a laboratory. That is what xanthan gum is doing in your bottle. But the Japanese kitchen solved this same problem hundreds of years ago with a food, with miso, the fermented soybean paste. Miso is a natural emulsifier. It holds oil and vinegar together, all by itself, with no chemistry needed. And while it holds them, it does something the gums can never do. It brings umami, that deep, savory taste, and it brings salt, and it brings living, fermented depth, all in one spoonful. One ingredient, doing the work of 5 chemicals and making it taste better while it does. That, plainly, is the trick. Stay with me. I will show you exactly how it is done. Now let me explain the science, plainly, the way Yuki explained it to me when I was young and thought a dressing was just oil and vinegar shaken in a jar. Why will oil and vinegar not stay together? Because of what they are, at the smallest level. Water, and vinegar is mostly water, is made of molecules that are attracted to each other, that cling together. Oil is made of molecules that will not mix with water at all. So when you shake them, you break the oil into tiny droplets and scatter them through the vinegar for a moment. But the moment you stop shaking, those droplets find each other and join and rise and float, and in a minute you have 2 layers again. This is not a flaw in your technique. This is physics. It will always happen unless something stands between them. That something is called an emulsifier. An emulsifier is a substance with a special shape. One end of it likes water, and the other end likes oil, so it stands at the border between every tiny droplet of oil and the vinegar around it, holding hands with both, keeping them from separating. It is a peacemaker. Put enough emulsifier in, and the oil droplets stay suspended, and the dressing stays creamy and whole. That is emulsion. That is the whole game. Now, the factory needs its bottle to sit on a shelf for a year, in a warm truck, in a cold store, and still look perfect when you shake it. So the factory reaches for the strongest, cheapest tools it can find. Xanthan gum to thicken the liquid so the oil cannot rise. Emulsifiers from a laboratory. Preservatives so nothing grows in it over the long months. Sugar and cheap soybean oil to fill it out for pennies. None of this is for you. All of it is for the shelf. But the Japanese kitchen never needed a shelf. It needed a bowl, tonight. And so it reached for a food instead of a chemical. Miso. Let me tell you what miso truly is, because most people in America do not know. Miso is soybeans, sometimes with rice or barley, that have been fermented slowly with a beneficial mold called koji for months or years. In that long fermentation, the proteins in the soybean are broken down into amino acids and the starches into sugars, and what comes out is a thick, salty, savory paste that carries an enormous depth of flavor. And here is why it works as an emulsifier, which is real science, not a story. Those broken down soybean proteins and the natural lecithin in the soybean itself have exactly the shape we spoke of, one end that loves water, one end that loves oil. They are natural emulsifiers, made by fermentation. So when you whisk miso into vinegar and then add oil, the miso stands between them and holds the emulsion together, all on its own. That is job 1. Job 2 is flavor, and this is the gift. Miso is one of the richest natural sources of umami, the fifth taste, the deep savory taste, discovered and named by a Japanese scientist from our own broths. That umami comes from glutamates created during the long fermentation. So the miso does not merely hold your dressing together, it makes it taste round, full, and satisfying, in a way that plain oil and vinegar never can. And job 3, it brings its own salt, so you need no extra. 1 spoonful, emulsifier, umami, and salt, all at once. That is why one honest ingredient beats a list of 5 chemicals. Plainly, the factory needed a laboratory to do badly what fermentation did well, 400 years ago. Now, the materials. Very little, as always. You need miso. This is the one thing you may need to buy, and it is worth it. A tub of miso costs, plainly, $4 or $5 and lasts for months and months in the refrigerator because it is salted and fermented and it keeps beautifully. Find it in the refrigerated section of any Asian market and now in most regular supermarkets too. Which kind? Let me be honest with you. White miso, shiro miso, is lighter, sweeter, gentler, and it is the best place to start for dressings. Red miso, aka miso, is fermented longer, darker, saltier, much stronger. It is wonderful, but it will overpower a delicate salad. For your first jar, buy white miso. Yuki keeps both, but the white tub is the one she reaches for with vegetables. You need vinegar. Rice vinegar is the Japanese choice. It is mild and slightly sweet and does not fight the miso. But apple cider vinegar works well, and even plain white vinegar will do. Rice vinegar is best. You need oil, a neutral oil like a light vegetable oil, or toasted sesame oil for the Japanese flavor. And here is an honest note. Toasted sesame oil is strong, very strong. Do not use it as your whole oil, or the dressing will taste of nothing else. Use a neutral oil for the body, and just a small spoon of toasted sesame at the end for perfume. That is the balance. And you need a touch of sweetness, and something sharp if you like. A little honey, or a little sugar, or mirin, a knob of fresh ginger, grated, a clove of garlic, crushed. These are the flourishes. The heart is miso, vinegar, oil, now the ratio, and this is the number to hold. For a Japanese-style dressing, a good starting place is 3 parts oil, 2 parts vinegar, and 1 part miso. Plainly, 3 tablespoons of oil, 2 tablespoons of rice vinegar, 1 tablespoon of white miso. That fills a small jar and dresses a large salad for a family. Note that this is more vinegar than a classic French dressing, because the miso brings body and richness and can carry the brightness. Start there, then adjust to your own tongue. Now the method, step by step. Listen to the order, because the order is everything. Step 1. Put the miso in the bowl first, alone. 1 tablespoon. This is the step people get wrong, so hear it plainly. Miso is a thick paste. If you throw it into a bowl of liquid and stir, you will get lumps, little stubborn pellets of miso that never dissolve, and your dressing will be gritty and uneven. Step 2. Add the vinegar to the miso, a little at a time, and work it into a smooth paste with your whisk or your fork or your chopsticks. Start with just a spoonful of vinegar and mash the miso into it until it is completely smooth, with no lumps at all. Then add the rest of the vinegar and stir until it is a thin, smooth, milky liquid. This is the whole secret of a good miso dressing. Dissolve the miso in the acid first, before the oil ever comes near it. Yuki does this with the back of a spoon, pressing the miso against the side of the bowl until it surrenders. Do not rush it. A lumpy dressing is a lazy dressing. Step 3. Add your sweetener and your aromatics now into the vinegar mixture, the honey, the grated ginger, the crushed garlic. Stir them in while the base is still thin and easy. Step 4. Now, the oil, and this is the second secret. Do not pour the oil in all at once. Pour it in slowly, a thin stream, while you whisk continuously with your other hand, slowly. This is how you build the emulsion. Remember the science. You are breaking the oil into tiny droplets and letting the miso surround each one. If you dump it all in at once, the droplets are too big and too many, and the miso cannot get around them all fast enough, and you will get a broken, separated dressing. Slow stream, constant whisking. Watch it as you go, and you will see something beautiful happen. The mixture will thicken and turn pale and creamy before your eyes. That thickening, that turn to cream, is the emulsion forming. That is the sign. That is success. Step 5. Taste it. Now adjust, plainly, by your own tongue. Too sharp? A little more oil, or a touch more honey. Too flat? A little more vinegar. Too thick? A spoonful of water. Yes, water, which loosens it without weakening the flavor. Yuki always finishes by tasting on a piece of the very vegetable she is about to dress, because a dressing tastes different alone than it does on a leaf. That is a small wisdom worth keeping. Step 6. If you want the shortcut, and there is an honest shortcut, put everything in a small jar with a tight lid and shake it hard for 30 seconds. The shaking does the work of the whisking. It will not hold quite as long or quite as creamy as the slow whisked way, but it is very good, and it takes 1 minute, and the jar is also where you will store it. Yuki whisks when it matters and shakes when she is busy. There is no shame in the jar. And here is a small thing Yuki and I have done for many years. We keep a little notebook by the shelf. The ratio we used, what we added, whether it was too sharp or just right. Because your tongue is not my tongue, and after a few weeks of small notes, you will have your own dressing, exactly yours, better than anything in a bottle. That template is in the resource at kenjitakara.com if you would like it, but truly, a scrap of paper by the bowl does the same. The tasting and noting is the thing, not the paper. Now the honest scope. What can go wrong, plainly, so you are never caught out? The first mistake, lumps. You added the oil or the liquid too fast, and the miso never dissolved. The fix, paste the miso smooth in a little vinegar first, always, before anything else. If you already have lumps, press them out against the bowl, or pass it through a small strainer. The second mistake, it breaks and separates. You poured the oil too fast, or used too much oil for the miso to hold. The fix, pour slower next time, and keep to the ratio. And here is the honest good news. A broken miso dressing is not ruined. Simply shake it or whisk it again before you pour it. It will come back together for long enough to dress the salad. This is not a bottle from a factory. A little separation is a sign that it is real, not a sign of failure. The third mistake, too much toasted sesame oil or too much red miso. Both are strong and will bully everything else. The fix, neutral oil for the body, sesame only as a finish, white miso to start. And now the true safety and keeping, plainly, because I will not let you be careless. This dressing has no preservatives. That is the whole point of it, so it does not live like a bottle. Keep it in the refrigerator, in a clean jar with a lid, and use it within about 1 week. The vinegar and the salt in the miso do give it real protection, so it keeps well for those days. But if you add fresh raw garlic or fresh ginger, use it faster, within a few days. And this matters. Never, ever store raw garlic covered in oil at room temperature. Garlic in oil, sealed away from air and left warm, is one of the classic conditions where a dangerous bacteria called Clostridium botulinum can grow and make a poison you cannot see, smell, or taste. That is botulism, and it is deadly. Our dressing is safe because it is acidic, full of vinegar, and because it lives in the cold refrigerator and is eaten within the week. Keep it sour, keep it cold, eat it soon. Do those 3 things, and you are perfectly safe. And as always, if it ever smells or tastes wrong, throw it away. Trust your nose. A week-old fresh dressing costs you 40 cents. Your health costs more. Now matainai. Total use, nothing wasted. And a fresh dressing is matainai in its very nature, because it is made from what is already in the kitchen, in the amount you need tonight, so nothing sits and spoils. But we can go further, as we always do. That vinegar and miso base is not only for salad. Thin it with a little water, and it becomes a marinade for cheap fish or tough meat. Make it thicker, with less vinegar, and it becomes a sauce to spoon over steamed vegetables, or grilled eggplant, or plain tofu, or a bowl of rice. 1 base, a dozen meals, and the vegetables, do not forget them. The broccoli stalks you would throw away, the carrot tops, the outer cabbage leaves, the cucumber ends, sliced thin. They are perfectly good salad, and a good dressing is exactly what redeems them. Plainly, the dressing you now make for pennies is the very thing that rescues the vegetable scraps from the bin. The 2 halves of matainai meet in the bowl, and the method continues itself. The tub of miso in your refrigerator will last for many months. Every time you finish a jar of dressing, the same tub makes the next one. You will never buy a bottle again. You will simply reach for the tub and the vinegar and the oil, all of which are already there. That is what freedom from the shelf looks like. It looks like a small tub, quietly waiting. Now, the money. Let us count it plainly. A bottle of good salad dressing costs $4 to $5 and holds perhaps 16 ounces. Now let us count ours. A tub of white miso costs about $4 or $5 and holds enough for 30-40 batches, so the miso in 1 batch costs you perhaps 15 cents. Rice vinegar, a few cents. Oil, a few cents. Honey, a few cents. Plainly, each small jar of dressing costs you around 40 cents to make. 40 cents against $5. That is $4.60 saved every single time. Now let it grow. A family that goes through 2 bottles a month spends about $120 a year. Make it yourself, and that same year costs you perhaps $10 or $12, all in. That is over $100 a year saved from something that takes 2 minutes and tastes better. And that is only the money. Count also what you are not eating: the corn syrup, the gums, the preservatives, the cheap oil, month after month, year after year, for a lifetime. That plainly does not fit on a receipt, but it is the greater saving of the 2. So here is your task for this weekend. Just one thing. Buy 1 small tub of white miso, $4, and it will last you months. Bring it home. Take a small bowl, 1 tablespoon of miso, and 2 tablespoons of rice vinegar, mashed together until smooth. Then 3 tablespoons of oil, poured slowly while you stir. Taste it. That is all. 2 minutes, And when you taste it, you will understand why there has never been a bottle in my kitchen. Do not try to do everything. Just buy the miso and make one small bowl. See for yourself. And then, tell me in the comments, what did your mother or your grandmother make in a bowl or shake in a jar in the days before the store sold a wall of bottles? What went on the salad in your house when you were a child? Those small daily recipes are the first things to be forgotten because nobody thought to write them down. Here, right here, is where we can remember them together. Write it down, share it. Let us gather the old wisdom, all of us, before it is lost for good. And next time, Yuki and I are going to show you what else that tub of miso can do. How one spoonful turns cheap vegetables, tough meat, and plain rice into food worth sitting down for, in the old Okinawa way. If you wish to learn it, stay with us, subscribe, and walk this quiet old road beside us. Let me leave you, as always, with the whole method in a single sentence. Dissolve a spoon of miso in the vinegar first, then pour the oil in slowly while you stir, and you will never need a bottle from that shelf again.